Bet with your friends on WynnBET Sportsbook today using promo code BlueWire to get up to $1,000 toward a risk-free sports bet. Sign up now at WYNNBet.com. Offer subject to change, terms and conditions at WynnBET.com. Must be 21 or older and present in the state where playthrough WynnBET is available. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700.
Hey everybody, welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast. As always, brought to you by WynnBET, WYNNBET. Jeff Erickson, Chris Liss here. Chris is in a state of mind. It's been a rough week. The Giants had a brutal injury loss. The Bengals just had a stupid loss. So we got a lot of venting to spleen.
Your team is stupid. Your team is so stupid. It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed to be on the show with you, given that that's the team you root for. It's an embarrassment to me. It's an embarrassment to RotoWire. It's an embarrassment to humanity. That's all I'm going to say.
You wino. All right, let's go. Let's go after it here. It was bad. It was that was a game of do not want. It was a very bananas game. It was a lot of fun to watch while in the midst of it, but brutal at the end. The kicker celebrating, thinking the kick was in the second time.
Real kicker celebrates. Real kicker doesn't give a shit if it goes in or not. Here's what I'm going to say though. The NFL should have a mercy rule, just like they have in softball or in children's games, where if both kickers miss in regulation and both kickers miss in overtime for the winning kick, it's a tie. It's just declared a tie. We don't want anyone pulling a Rob Burrow in this. We don't want a situation like that. No. We just declare it a tie, and it's over. And the thing is, I had the in the Super Contest Bengals +3, and that was good, but it wasn't good. The other problem is Joe Burrow had a throat contusion, which sounds not good if you went to the hospital for it. And he did not look right. He was very bad in the last, 15 minutes of that game. He wasn't right. And I wonder whether that had something to do with it.
Well, the first, that interception at the start of overtime was terrible. But then he had a subsequent drive. They're moving the ball. And for the second time in 3 drives, they played for the super long field goal.
Dude, Zach Taylor needs to be executed on midfield. Because here's the thing, dude. First of all, the first one was like 57 yards. The second one was 49.
Yeah.
But still, it's too long, and they should have gone on 4th down the first time because it was a better chance than kicking that field goal with their kicker. And it was just, look. I'm in the Super Contest. I've got a lot at stake here. This isn't a game. This isn't a joke, right. And these coaches are low stakes losers who know they're not going deep into the playoffs, and they're treating this like it's a freaking joke. They're treating it like a joke, and I've got a serious stake in this. I'm in the Super Contest, and I've got the Bengals +3, and they're not respecting the sacrifice of regular people putting serious Super Contest money on this. I feel like there's a disconnect between their low stakes joke of an organization and real life people who are living and dying with this point spread. And I just don't think this is I don't think it's legitimate.
I hear you on that. And it was really awful not to take your considerations into account when they were.
Am I wrong, Jeff? Am I wrong in this instance or not? I want you to weigh in here.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong about this.
There's at least half of the betting audience in most cases that are feeling the same way as you on that one too.
I mean, you put $1,000 in the Super Contest, and then you're depending on coaches who take this as a joke. Like Zach Taylor's like, oh, this is a joke. I don't care about this. It's not important.
Yeah. I hear you. And so it was really aggravating to watch this there. They settled, they punted in plus territory earlier in the game. Then they run that 3rd and 5 running play up the middle. If you're going to do that, you're committing to going for it on 4th down instead of taking a 57-yarder. I mean, it's that simple. And even if he makes it, you've got Aaron Rodgers with the ball. I mean, it's in plenty of time. I mean, not plenty of time, but time. As it turns out, we got lucky that that they missed a field goal too, but that was just awful decision making all the way around. And then in the drive in overtime, they were moving the ball. You've got Jamar Chase, who is just torching the Green Bay secondary, and it is, and what do? They run it into the pile 3 times. Now, Mixon might have had a first down on that last play. They should have challenged that spot. They should have, and they get that first down. They move it in a little bit closer. Great. Green Bay has less time. All these things. There's all sorts of benefits that accrue. But they didn't, that it didn't happen. The point is they were playing for the 49, 50-yard field goal. They were not trying to just win the game. I mean, it's not this magical thing where you have to kick a field goal. You can score a touchdown. You can drive all the way through. It's okay. Watch the Chargers and the Browns. Amazing what happens when you just don't rely on stupid kickers the whole time. Now, the Chargers screwed up at the end too by allowing Eckler to get thrown into the end zone on that last touchdown. They should have just taken a knee instead of
right. Why are you even? But Eckler.
Why are you even running a play?
What a nutless monkey! You get thrown in the end zone. Eckler did a great play. He slid down when he had the touchdown earlier, and then he allows himself to get bullied into the end zone. Come on, a real man doesn't get thrown.
No, but
a real man does not score a touchdown against his will. Okay, a real man never scores a touchdown in his career that he does not want to score. So how many players in NFL history have scored a touchdown against their will? This might be the only one. He may be the first player in NFL history that scored a touchdown against his will.
And how many teams would have instructed their defenses to force that? 4, 5, 6 maybe among coaches? Most coaches are like, oh, we got to stop them. We can't let them do that. That was obviously transparently the right play by the Browns to do that. And the fact is, they had the added bonus of stopping the 2-point conversion. They get the touchdown. They win. They don't just merely tie and keep it going. They win. It was such a smart play by the Browns. And, we're looking at it as, this is wild. It's crazy. But the fact is, that was the smart play. It was the right play. How many people recognize it? I bet you there's a lot of old school coaches. Can you see Mike McCarthy doing that? Can you see, Zach Taylor doing it? No, I don't. Maybe Zach Taylor, but probably not. There's sure as hell of a lot. Urban Meyer, he's busy eating paste under the, in his bar there or whatever. But
listen, I don't want to hear anybody denigrating the Giga Chad Urban Meyer. I don't like this talk about Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer is the Giga Chad. Okay, he coached a game. He lost badly. He's lost again, and yet he still finds time to spend with his grandchildren. And yet, even while he's spending time with his grandchildren, he takes a little episode at the bar and he shares affection with different human beings, in the bar. So the fact that you would denigrate the work that Urban Meyer does on his spare time, that's not even company time, I resent that, Jeff. I don't think that's fair.
Winless team, team flies back all battered and bruised and saddened by losing that game on Thursday night last week. You guys figure it out. I got leaders on the team. You don't need me as a leader. What are you there for?
No, and he's sharing affection with other people at the bar. So I think that's totally legitimate.
Spreading love around the world. Yep.
Spreading a lot of love. His love is out of control. Here's the thing, though. The Bengals is like, you're bearing the lead. That's not even like the fourth most important topic of this.
I know, but you know what? I know you're going to go all Giantsy on me here, so I just had to get it in while I could.
The Giants is the topic, but there's another topic too. But the Giants, dude, they show up. They're going to cover this spread. There's no doubt about it. They might win. Dimes is doing well. Saquon Bitcoin has already been unleashed. His knee is fine. Did you see? He got injured after a play. They're just kind of running while the play's over.
Yep.
And he doesn't understand. He steps on the guy's foot and totally tweaks his ankle. It swelled up to like a softball inside his ankle, like you saw on the sideline. Maybe not a softball, maybe a baseball inside his ankle. So now who knows how long it's going to be out for no reason. It wasn't like he was trying to get an extra yard, trying to make a play. It was literally when the play was over. Okay, Saquon out multiple weeks or whatever he's going to be out for. Then Dimes gets concussed. Now, first off, you couldn't even just give them a penalty on that? The helmet? No, of course not. He's out of his mind. He tries to play because he's a real man, tries to play through the concussion, get up, act like it's no big deal. But he starts stumbling around like a drunk, okay? Like an abject drunk, somebody who would get drunk during their job, okay? Nobody would do that.
Nobody would
do that. Nobody would do that, okay? Nobody in the right mind would do that. He's stumbling around like an abject drunk, and they realize, oh, he's concussed out of his mind. It's a no-brainer to get him out of the lineup. So now Dimes is gone. By the way, before the game started, Andrew Thomas was out. They were like, oh, he's got whatever it was, an ankle problem or something. So Andrew Thomas, number 4 overall pick in the whole NFL draft from 2020, out for the game. He's been playing well this year. A few minutes into the game, number 2 overall pick from 2018, Saquon, out for the game. Halfway through the game, number 6 overall pick in 2019. They lost the 2, the 4, and the 6 in 3 drafts before halftime. Okay, so this is a joke. Then they're already without Slayton, hamstring injury. They're already out Sterling Shepard, hamstring injury. Great, they got Kadarius Toney, 189 yards receiving, 7 yards rushing, 196 yards through 3.5 quarters. He's destroying the Cowboys. Oh, he leaves with an injury, comes back in, obviously punches someone in the face for good reason, because obviously the Cowboys deserve to be punched in the face, so I can't fault them on that.
Punched in the helmet. Let's make sure this is
clear.
It was a
senselessly
swing.
Senselessly punching a helmet and probably risking your hand injury, getting ejected, which I respect, but again, so now he's gone. Golladay, their $78 million, $72 million signee, out with a knee injury. The whole team's out. It's like it's preseason third quarter. That's the team they're putting on the field. And I've got them +7. That was unfortunate. And just dispiriting as a Giants fan, as a Barkley owner. I've got Barkley in 2 leagues. Barkley, to me, was like the number 1 player. He was a pass-catching running back with an improving offense. Whole thing collapses completely. I mean, as a Giants fan, you're like, it's a joke. The season is a joke. Why would you even care? Why would you even pay attention to football? It's like, it's like the game of sorry. You're like a nutless monkey going around the board, and someone goes, sorry, and you go to the back, switch places with your token. It's like basically there's no point in earnestly drafting these players and trying to root for them to win and take them against the spread, because they all just get simultaneously injured in the same game.
This is brutal. It was really brutal. Saquon's out 2 to 4 weeks. They're saying they're calling it a low ankle sprain. If I have to see one more picture of that swollen ankle, I'll make it 1,000 times. It's crazy. How many times?
If your testicle was the size of that ankle, you would check yourself into a hospital.
That's glad you went there, Chris.
But it's a fact. It's a factually true statement.
So adding insult to injury too, most people missed the Giants touchdown right after the Dimes injury,
right?
Because Fox went to a commercial, and of course, this is the second time today, by the way, the second time yesterday during the set of games that they did this. They had to squeeze in that one extra commercial. Let's get another commercial in. It's only 4th and goal. You have your starting quarterback.
For God knows what, for some kind of disgusting food that will put you in the hospital. Some food that if you eat all the time, you will be completely metabolically destroyed. And they've got to show you yet another inducement to destroy your metabolism and not show the touchdown. I agree 100%.
Yeah. So that was brutal. Devontae Booker is your lead back now. Do they have any else? And who's behind him? Who's the third back? Is it? I guess it's the there's a rookie.
It's Gary Brightwell. Gary Brightwell.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, I mean,
knock yourself out with Gary Brightwell. Gary Brightwell. He's not splitting the atom, but he's the backup.
Yeah. So here's the thing too. But we saw with the Bears, the backup to the backup is Khalil Herbert, who had some game yesterday. He looked good.
Yeah.
And that's why I just wanted to mention him. But Booker is going to be an obvious target this week in free agency. So we'll do our Captain Obvious thing with him tomorrow. But clearly he's going to be one of the guys. There's so many injuries. We're going to get to all of them here. I just want to mention
it was a bloodbath. I mean, Russell Wilson on Thursday night. I mean, you take out one of the top 5 players in the NFL for 6 weeks right on Thursday night.
Yep. All right, quick note here from WynnBET. If there's one thing we appreciate here at RotoWire, it's making good decisions, and even more so, making the right decision. Listen up, folks. I have an incredible offer for you with RotoWire's newest partner, WynnBET, the premier digital casino and sportsbook app. WynnBET is now the exclusive sponsor for RotoWire's fantasy podcast. WynnBET brings you all the latest action with a user-friendly interface, moneyline bets, boosted parlays, over-unders, round robins, live betting, and so much more at your fingertips. Want a break from sports betting? Head into WynnBET's digital casino and take a spin on roulette, double down in blackjack, slam the slots, or try your hand at baccarat. WynnBET is currently available in 6 states: Colorado, Indiana, Michigan, New Jersey, Tennessee, and Virginia, while rapidly expanding. At WynnBET, the possibilities are limitless. WynnBET is currently offering all RotoWire listeners a risk-free bet up to $500 on your first wager. Download WynnBET now. That's WYNNBET. WinBet, the exclusive partner for RotoWire's fantasy podcast. Can't wait till they get more than 6 states, so that way we get some variety in the read. And I just want to name more states. I also saw a commercial for them. That's one thing you get probably you get to avoid a lot of commercials where you're at, but they do now have a TV commercial out there. So just thought that was interesting.
Listen,
anyways, moving on.
I avoid commercials like it's a bubonic plague. I avoid commercials. If I don't mute or pause a game during a commercial, I feel like I failed myself, because your attention field, the things you take into your attention, the commercials, the garbage that you absorb from corporate media, the stupid commercials, it's like eating junk food. It's like you think, I just ingest junk food. I'll stop doing that. I'll eat a little healthier, but I'll just absorb whatever things come into my attention field, my eyes, my ears. Your eyes and ears are poison vectors, just like your digestive tract. So if you see a commercial, avoid it. It's a poison. It will destroy your will to exist. Okay, just a little public service, a PSA for the people who are smart enough to listen to this video cast.
So Tom Brady is playing on Thursday night against the Eagles. He was the man, 5 touchdowns, easy win, easy cover. Everything was easy about that game. Did pick up a thumb injury, though. Supposed to be okay for Thursday night's game. He's amazing. He's 44, and he's making great throws left and right. And it's not just like great reads, but great throws. Like we saw, Big Ben's like a shadow of his former self. Rivers has retired already. Eli's retired already. Here's Brady
They should bring Eli back. I think it's time for Eli to come back. I really do. Just to beat Brady.
Can't be worse than Glennon, can it?
Glennon wasn't that bad, to be honest. But if Eli came back, because he owns Brady, right? Brady's Eli's bitch, so he could do whatever he wants with Brady. So if a team is in the Super Bowl and they've got a quarterback issue, they should sign Eli. But otherwise, Eli is he was horrible for 7 years. I don't even know why. Geno Smith should have kept the job. But the point is, Brady I think he's coming for Peyton's single season records too. He owns Breeze and Peyton's records. He's coming for him too. He's trying to erase Peyton completely. He's trying to deny Peyton's existence. So I think Brady has a chance, if he stays healthy, to, especially with 17 games, it's a little bit of a cheat, destroy the 55 touchdowns, 5,500 yards, all that stuff. Brady may beat it. But I have a bet against Brady. Dalton and I have a bet. Justin Herbert's my guy, and I'm not worried about it. As sick as Brady is, Justin Herbert is even sicker.
He's so sick, especially
Justin Herbert
running touchdowns. I mean, that's amazing.
Justin Herbert is playing against a defense that held the Vikings to 7 points. Although the Vikings offense is another issue. But
I think the Vikings held the Vikings to 7 points, perhaps.
But the Browns have a good defense, and Justin Herbert absolutely tore it apart. Mike Williams, the real thing. Keenan Allen is he's good, but he's an afterthought. But Justin Herbert could be QB1 at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the preseason hype was actually true on Mike Williams. I know the Monday night game notwithstanding. That was the thing that's so frustrating is they didn't target him that much against the Raiders, but boy, did they make up for that and then some. He scored one of the easiest touchdowns you'll ever score in one of those 2 touchdown catches for Williams. But they said Lombardi said at the beginning of the year, he's gonna be my Michael Thomas. He's gonna play that role, and he's almost eclipsing that. It's crazy. Maybe not quite this. It doesn't have the consistency, but that might just be
receivers don't produce every week unless they're Devontae Adams. That's the only guy who performs like a running back. So no, Mike Williams is a top 5 receiver. He might be number 2. You can argue it. Tyreek Hill got a little banged up after the game, but Mike Williams is the 7th overall pick. He's always been good. Now he finds a coach that's like, oh, why are we just blindly loyally feeding 8-yard passes to Keenan Allen? We have the 7th overall pick from the 2017 draft, who's 6'4", 220, and has a little movement, has a little route running skill. Why don't we feed this guy? And now they're doing it, and it's happening. And Herbert, if you're going to take a player, if we're GMs and we're drafting the entire NFL, number 1's Patrick Mahomes still. I don't care what Ted Bell says. Patrick Mahomes is a wizard, and I've seen too many things. But number 2, who's number 2 after you take Mahomes? I think it's Herbert.
Allen. It's Allen.
I think Allen has a chance. I think Lamar Jackson has a case. But I think Herbert's number 2. I would take him ahead of both.
It's such a great time, though. I mean, you've got Murray, you've got Jackson. I mean,
give me Herbert. Give me Herbert. Yeah. Over those guys.
Yeah, I hear you.
Dan Marino with wiggle, with some mobility.
Yeah. So the Chargers, they have a problem. They can't stop the running game. or at least they couldn't stop the Browns. Maybe it's just a Browns thing, but the Browns were running at will, and they just, although on that drive, when the Chargers made it 42-41, they missed the extra point. The Browns had a chance just to kill the rest of the game. They couldn't even get one first down though. It was brutal. They had a second down incompletion. You're averaging like 8 yards a carry that game. How did Nick Chubb not get a touch in that sequence?
I don't know. I mean, the Browns seem a bit limited to me. Baker's okay. Beckham gets open. Baker doesn't find him. I just think that you need an elite QB. Unless the team is so good around you that you can get by with an average QB. I think the Browns are trying to get by with an average QB, and the Chargers have a good team and an elite QB. I think that's the difference. Of course, the Browns could have won that game. They just didn't make a play or two. But a lot of games go like that, right? I mean, how many games match up where there's a play or two? But give me the team with the best QB. I mean, I think Mahomes is still the best QB in football, but I think Herbert is number 2. And given their, everybody's respective ages, if I'm a GM, someone takes Mahomes at 1, I'm taking Herbert at 2.
Yeah. Okay. Other things that happened in this game. There was a really bad PI call against the Browns. Kept a Chargers drive going, which they ultimately ended up scoring. Now, they still had the game in their grasp, but it was a big play late in that one. OBJ dropped a 4th down catch that would have been a first down. That worked against them. There was, of course, the missed extra point. The Chargers converting a bunch of 4th downs, which was fun. I love
the Chargers missed extra points. The Chargers kicker is horrible.
Yeah,
but the team is good. The team is actually really good. I mean, the Chargers are like a Super Bowl contender. In fact, in the AFC, it's the Bills and the Chargers 1-2. Maybe throwing the Chiefs, maybe throwing the Ravens, but Bills Chargers 1-2.
Yeah, I mean, they looked awesome. They really do. And meanwhile, the Chiefs have some problems. You mentioned in your column the Super Bowl hangover is real. The Super Bowl loser hangover is real.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs. I wouldn't be surprised if they missed the playoffs. I mean, you get the Chargers in, you get the Ravens in, someone in the AFC South. It's a terrible division. You get the Bills in. So you got 4, and you got, 2 more teams. 3 more teams this year, which is super annoying. I mean, there's no reason to turn this into the NBA where everybody's crap regular season doesn't matter. I think the Chiefs do make the playoffs because there's just not enough good teams. The Browns make the playoffs. The Bengals miss it, obviously. They're terrible. But let's say Steelers make it, and, maybe the Chiefs and maybe Denver. But Denver,
Ravens.
Paper Tiger. Yeah, the Ravens make it, but the Raiders don't. I thought the Raiders were okay, but the Raiders, that's just terrible to get beat at home by the Bears. And there's really no one in the AFC East or South besides the winner. So you got 2 teams there, and you got 5 teams from the North and the West are going to make it. So you've got the 2 winners, and you've got 3 more teams that are going to make it. And I think that gives the Chiefs will make it. Even though the hangover is real, the Chiefs will win 10 or 11 games, and they'll make it.
Yeah, I think they'll make it, and I think they'll get it. They'll figure things out. I think their offense is just so good. Their defense has just got major problems. So I was wrong about that game Sunday night. I thought the Chiefs would win. The Bills were clearly the best team, and it didn't take long to establish that. They were the best team all the way through. So definitely wrong about that game. I just thought that, Chiefs had kind of gotten it together with that Philly game, but no, I think it's just the Eagles just aren't that great either. I know they.
How about Darnold? Darnold sucks. I was right about Darnold. I think universal Twitter needs to just say, Gettleman was right. Saquon over Darnold was the correct pick. Now, if you want to make a critique of that draft, you say, well, you wanted a quarterback. You were sold on a quarterback. How could you take Darnold over Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson?
Right.
That was the disaster. If you're taking a different position and it was like Darnold's the obvious, you're like, I don't want this QB. He's not that good. Take anybody else. Darnold is an interception machine. He was in college. He was with the Jets. And you know what? Adam Gase may be a crazy person and a terrible coach, but I think we're starting to see it wasn't all Gase. It was also Darnold. And I think the Panthers have a good defense. They've got good skill guys. I think the coaching staff is reasonably competent, but I don't think Darnold's it. I think Darnold is not it.
I think the quarterback play on both sides of the ball was atrocious in that game.
Hurts was bad. He was really bad.
Yeah. Greg Olsen. Why is Greg Olsen broadcasting Panthers games? I mean, could they? I hate. He might be really funny and good and all that, but it's just such a huge, like, massive conflict of interest to have him just covering his former team all the time. And it was his current team when he was like injured one year and they had him broadcasting one time when he was still a player.
But at the same time, it's not a conflict of interest in the sense that he's not getting paid. It's like a conflict of interest is like when somebody writes a column in the New York Times about X and they have an investment in X.
No, I know.
They've served on an advisory board of X and they're not disclosing this is football. So it's like, what's this conflict that he's like too friendly with these guys? I mean, a little bit, but
yeah, and he felt like he couldn't critique bad play. How about that?
But how about this? How about Peyton Manning saying, even though he did it, he said, "Oh, I don't want to have to talk to Mike McCarthy. He's going to be mad at me for this." And that's Peyton Manning, who's kind of uncancelable by NFL standards. He's one of the NFL's inner circle Hall of Fame.
But the point is, he made the criticism first, and then he said, "You know what? I talked to him over the weekend. He might not take my calls." But what I'm saying, he said he went forward with it anyhow, despite that. Right. That's integrity.
But what I'm saying is, even a guy who isn't affiliated with that particular team, whose inner circle cemented in like access standards, is still acknowledging that there's an incentive not to talk yang about a random coach that he happens to know because he probably knows everybody. It's so conflicted, and especially these nutless monkey announcers that have no independent value, that they're just there because people like them, and now they're going to go crap on somebody who has connections. It's so rampant that like Greg Olson, who actually at least has some cred as a legitimate, not quite Hall of Fame, but just under Hall of Fame player. I don't see it as being any worse than the garden variety nutless monkey announcer that will praise every single veteran and every single coach reflexively, and even the referees. Oh, I see why they called that flag. You can kind of see why they did that. Not only they like sucking up to the coaches and the players, which is embarrassing, but they're sucking up to referees. I mean, they're sucking up to the erroneous penalty calls out of a sense of, I don't want the league to be mad at me, for me to like undercut their their representatives who are the referees. So I hear you, Jeff. And in generally, I'd be sympathetic to that point, but I think the rot is so deep in terms of like real talk. I mean, real talk. If you and I, if we had the broadcast, right, we'd be canceled immediately, but we would just be like, oh, this coach, why is he punting? This is embarrassing. Is he, his contract is up or he doesn't think he's going to get hired. We would talk about it in the starkest terms, but they never say that stuff.
They don't. They really don't. And they hew to you must have a good reason. I don't want to criticize this coach.
You must have a good reason. No, your reason is that you're a nutless monkey. And here's the thing. Remember Steve Moyer had this column called The Outsider that he wrote on RotoWire. It was a good column. And Steve Moyer was a very irreverent guy. Rest in peace, Steve Moyer. Good friend of ours. Great guy. And Steve was an outsider. He wasn't connected with like the baseball people or whatever. But because of that, he could say what he wanted to say. And he was just making observations very earnestly. And that's missing from insiders. So insiders do have access. Sometimes they have useful information, rarely. And if they have it, they rarely share it. But there is an aspect to it where they know something that we don't know. But for the most part, they're just a bunch of suck-ups. And people are outside are free to throw bombs at these people. And sometimes we make mistakes and we think we know something we actually don't. But most of the time, an earnest criticism from an observer that is unbiased with respect to their career advancement is way better than an insider observer that's completely captured by their own status in an organization. And what you basically get from, let alone legacy media, the New York Times, the real newspapers are disgusting, but even sports, it's a bit, you're getting the company line, and you're just getting it and getting it and getting it. And when you've been in this, and you and I have watched games for 35, 40 years, 45 years, you start to understand like this is bullshit. We're getting bullshit information from these people. And, you're just attuned to it by now, Jeff.
Yeah, exactly. We are. And it's frustrating. I want to talk about rookie quarterbacks. I want to talk about Justin Fields and Trey Lance. But first, quick note from Yahoo DFS. The new NFL season is underway, and Yahoo is excited to kick off daily fantasy football. There will be a ton of big prize contests throughout the season on Yahoo, including their multi-entry contest now being shark-free. To celebrate football season and Yahoo Daily Fantasy becoming shark-free, Yahoo is giving all users the opportunity to claim free $10 in contest entry credit. Users can take advantage of this free $10 contest entry credit offer to join one of Yahoo's biggest contests. In addition to the free credit, Yahoo has a $1 million DFS football contest live. The $1 million contest features $1 million in total prizes, including first place receiving $100,000 and an entry to the first ever Yahoo Fantasy Football Championship live finals event, which will occur at MGM National Harbor in Maryland this December. Play daily fantasy football on Yahoo this season. Visit sports.yahoo.com/dailyfantasy/welcome to claim the free $10 offer to get started. All right, so we saw Trey Lance get his first start. We saw Justin Fields get a win starting against the Raiders on the road. Davis Mills actually looked good in the battle of rookies against Mac Jones.
We should have led with that. That's the big thing. We had the Patriots and Survivor. And
so did I.
22-9. And Davis Mills, one of the throws, he made a throw under pressure where he gets the ball to this receiver, high points the ball, catches it. Defender just misses it. It's just thrown exactly where it needs to be, and he runs for a touchdown. And I'm like, oh, man, that was like a 1 in a million throw. I mean, that throw and catch was so unlikely. Damon Harris fumbles right at the goal line. It's a touchback. I mean, everything was going wrong. Jacoby Myers gets a perfect 30-yard pass, just drops it. Yeah. I mean, it was just one thing after another.
Three offensive linemen get hurt for the Pats. I mean,
COVID before the thing. But the Giga Chad, Nick Folk, nails a couple 52-yarders. The Texans decide to do a fake punt. So they're looking like they're going to fake the punt. Then they're faking them, trying to get them off sides. Then they run toward the line. Punter kicks it right into the helmet of the guy. That was huge. That led to the field goal.
Yep.
And then the other underrated total giveaway by the Texans was they tried a 58-yard field goal with Kaimi Faulbairn, who's a terrible kicker.
Who missed two extra points earlier in the game. Yep.
They try a 56 or whatever yard field goal on 4th and 4, and the Patriots get the ball back and score a touchdown. Thank God for that stupidity, because we were on the ropes, dude. But you know what? I knew I was going to lose. My $6 million survivor entry is a team of destiny. We had Justin Tucker kick a game-winning 66-yard field goal that hit off the crossbar. We had Lamar Jackson convert a 4th and 19. Now we have the Patriots come back and win. We are a team of destiny. If we take the team, it is going to win. And you know what? All you nutless monkeys took the Bucs this week or took the Broncos that week. You're soft. You're afraid of risk. You're used to coasting through. You think, I'm going to win by 3 touchdowns. This Survivor's easy. It's not a sweat. You know what? You're not used to adversity, and you're risk averse. You don't understand what it's going to take. The team that wins with the crossbar bounce through is the team with the advantage, because they are used to adversity. They are fearless. There's nothing that can kill us. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger. It's Nietzsche. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger, Jeff. So honestly, that was a great win by the Patriots. It was the absolutely right survivor pick. I actually diversified to the Vikings, and the Vikings was another insane win. Insane. But to the Lions, let me tell you something about the Lions. They're going to go 0-17, but it's going to be an incredibly strong 0-17. They're going to go 0-17, but it's going to be an 0-17 team that can claim that they were a powerful 0-17. For 0-17, they're going to be one of the best teams ever.
You know, it's crazy how they're losing. It's really crazy. First of all, they were bold at the very end of the game, getting that, first of all, they got lucky to force a fumble on 3rd and 7 on that play just to get the short field. They got the touchdown. They had the real man extra 2-point conversion. Yeah. But they were nutless monkeys earlier in that game. They punted 10 points down, 4th and 4 from the Vikings 44. And they took an intentional delay of game so they'd have more field position to punt from. But they had a total nutless punt down 10 points in the 4th quarter on that. That was your karma right there. That's why, you needed to be bolder sooner. And the thing is, yes, they had the 1-point lead, and that was bold and it was smart and all that, but it did give the Vikings that sense of urgency. However, had they scored in that previous drive, then they would have been up 3. And you know what? They don't lose to a 54-yarder. At worst, they go to overtime, and you never know what happens in overtime. There was mistakes made. That was a weird game too. I mean, the Vikings looked like they were going to just chew it up with Madison early, and then they just ground to a halt yet again. 2 weeks in a row, their offenses, which looked to be high flying, they looked great against the Seahawks, but bad against the Browns and bad against the Lions. Who are the Lions? Who are missing their top corner? They were missing other defensive starters. It was awful. Really terrible offensive performance by the Vikings yesterday.
Yeah, it was disgraceful. And I had them in one league. They won. I was so mad. I was like, I switched the Patriots to the Vikings because I saw the line move up. And I was like, I shouldn't have switched. I should have gone all in on the Patriots. It was funny because I was on the Patriots. I was like, thank God I have one on the Vikings. So I saw it. But you know what? That's just bullshit. The truth is that neurotic brain that I'm sharing with you, that doesn't exist. The reality was we're a team of destiny. The Patriots are going to win no matter what. And it was always a mistake to switch. And I just got lucky that the Vikings won. That's all it was on that other Survivor entry. But I was like, I don't want to throw that away. That could be, $5,000. There's 50 people for $100. I don't want to throw that Vikings entry away. So we're through. I know in the past I've lamented, these lucky assholes. They had the Vikings. They had oh my God, they had the Vikings. They had the Patriots. They had the Ravens 2 weeks ago. Those lucky. You know what? As I said, the truth is those are the people that win because those are the people that got through with adversity. So, the week that you're like, I had the Patriots. I had the Bucks. I'm cool. That's the week you lose the next week because you're soft. You haven't suffered.
You have no fear of the underdog after that. That's why you
no. You're like, that's the right. That's why we play that song in the segment.
Yeah,
absolutely,
I love that song. Anytime I hear the beginning of that song, it's like,
yeah.
I love that there. So yeah, that was but Fields was okay. They ran the ball so much, but it's really killed Allen Robinson. That Allen Robinson is just.
Here's something I wrote before the season. I said, Allen Robinson, if healthy, cannot fail. That's what I wrote this season. And I now retract that because he's failing completely healthy. And I'll say this. The Ghetto Chad traded Justin Fields, who's terrible, for Kadarius Toney, who's not only the greatest receiver of all time and punches you in the face. Right, of course. And he punches you in the face, right, because he's a real man. Not only does he get 189 yards on you, he punches you in the face. That's how he rolls. You get Justin Fields. You trade scrubby Justin Fields for that and a first next year. And the Bears is going to be an early first because they're a terrible team, a fourth and a fifth. So, those of you who don't acknowledge the genius of the Ghetto Chad, you've lost the plot. You're in a different multiverse. You're not even in this multiverse because you do not understand reality because the Ghetto Chad just fleeced the Bears. And Kadarius Toney, Scott Barrett had a tweet that was from 2020. It said, do not let the Chiefs draft Kadarius Toney. He's too badass. He's too amazing. And if the Chiefs get him, it'll be game over. And who got him? The Ghetto Chad plus picks. So let's just acknowledge that for a moment.
Noted. So noted. Going back to Allen Robinson and Justin Fields, though, as a point. And it's funny, you mentioned the Kadarius Toney. Because Finish Line says, I dropped, and he said dripped, but he meant dropped. Allen Robinson for Kadarius Toney just to shake it up. I can't trust him, and I kind of want someone else in my league to play him against me so they can get a 6-point per day PPR. He has Metcalf and Diggs, so pretty funny there. It is funny when you're done with a guy and you don't want to use him. If you're right, it's beautiful because then someone's blown a ton of fab too, and they're frustrating.
Wastes him in the lineup. But honestly, as much as I love Tony, I would not drop Robinson for him just yet. But Fields just is not a cute quarterback right now. I mean, Trey Lance, I feel like passed the eye test a little bit. He was an incredible runner, much better than Fields. And
we got to work on the throwing part of being a quarterback, though, and all these guys, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, he's like Tebow, but with better running. Maybe a poor man's Taysom Hill, just so in case Dalton Donald's listening. No, Lance passed the eye test. I think Lance will be good. I really do. But I don't know if Shanahan's going to keep giving him a chance if Garoppolo's healthy. But I thought Lance was kind of a dangerous weapon, and they just kind of screwed up on fourth down, and they didn't get some things done. There's no Kittle. Kittle's on IR, but
that's a huge one there. I actually was like, "Ooh, I'll pick up Ross Dwelly." I actually did that in a couple of leagues because hey, starting tight end, the Niners are going to throw to their tight ends a lot, but it's Lance throwing it to him. That was so dumb of me.
Yeah, Dwelly's a joke. You got to get with somebody who's no joke. Do you know who's no joke, Jeff?
Who's no joke, Chris?
David Njoku. He's no joke.
I just walked into that.
You didn't. Why can't you? How can you not see?
Get down. He's not a Njoku in this town.
Njoku, first of all, he's in year 5, but tight ends take a while to bloom. And Dawson Knox. Yeah, I'll tell you, the only good pun I've ever seen from our crew said "Opportunity Knox," KNOX. I thought that was a great pun. I think normally the puns are terrible, and all the on tap. This is on tap. This is on tap. So, what have you been in Wisconsin too long? You're just like slovenly drinking these crappy beers, you're like on tap. But Opportunity KNOX gave credit to that. And he seems like he's a year 3 tight end. I think Was he a second round pick? I don't know where Knox was drafted, but he's starting to develop as a weapon. And Njoku too. Like, I think that we have to, these tight Max Williams, who got hurt though, but he's a second round pick and he was involved in the offense. Yeah. I think tight ends take a few years and you don't want to be too impatient with them.
Yeah, that's true. You absolutely, it's true. And yeah, Kyle Pitts had a massive day, but it's his first massive day so far. We just expected its brilliance right away. Doesn't happen usually. And it took Ridley being out and Gage being out and playing the Jets, but it still happened nonetheless.
Well, he's like the number 5 tight end or somewhat, like so far, this year, including this big game he had. So he's doing more or less what he's supposed to. If he has another good game, he'll be a top 3 tight end. It's going to be hard to catch Kelsey. Waller's really kind of fallen off. Hawkinson started strong, fell apart, hasn't done anything at a minor game.
And they're scheming for him, so they have to adjust. That's the thing. It happens all the time. So that's true. But it does kill their skill position players for a while. Debo got his on that rushing touchdown. So he actually still got his production. The thing I was actually kind of excited about was they rediscovered that Brandon Ayuk exists. He made a couple of big plays, including that like 2nd and 25 conversion. Yeah. That was a pretty sweet catch and run after the play. So,
and the throw from Lance was really sharp. He zipped the ball in past the defender.
Yeah.
I think Lance is so mobile that it's like Lamar Jackson, where he has to be decent, but he doesn't have to be Patrick Mahomes. He has to be good, and he'll be fine. I would just stick with Lance if I'm the Niners. I would make that work. I think the running plays are so effective, and just to keep developing him, but who knows what they're going to do.
Yeah, that's right. One more quick commercial note for our friends at Thrive. Thrive is back for another season of fantasy football, and they're running huge guaranteed contests each week this NFL season. With Thrive Fantasy, you can eliminate the countless hours of research and focus on only the top-tier athletes that have the biggest impact on the game. Sign up today and get a free 6-month RotoWire subscription. Here's how you claim your free RotoWire subscription. 1, visit rotowire.com/thrive. 2, deposit a minimum of $10 and receive a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. 3, play in your first paid contest and receive a free 6-month RotoWire subscription. All right.
When it comes to hiring, there is no shame in needing an assist to score. Indeed has helped businesses stay competitive with their hiring, and they can do it for you too. Get started right now with $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/BlueWire. Indeed is a hiring partner that gets you what you really want, a short list of quality candidates as fast as possible, because you can do it all. Attract, interview, and hire all at Indeed. Get a $75 credit. You heard me. At Indeed.com/BlueWire. One of the things I love about Indeed is that it makes hiring all in one place so easy. Whenever I was looking for a job, Indeed was the very first place I go. Indeed.com/BlueWire. Offer valid through December 31st. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes, and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part? There's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package.
Slow is just right if you're on vacation, a sloth, or describing QuickBooks. More like slow books. It sucks you in and slows you down with manual processes, integration difficulties, and glitchy delays that leave you scrambling for the numbers you need. Now is the time to make the switch to NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 financial system. because NetSuite gives you visibility and control of your financials, inventory, HR, e-commerce, and more. It's everything you need to grow all in one place. With NetSuite, you can automate your processes and close your books in no time, no matter how big your business grows. Failing to switch to NetSuite will leave you stuck trying to make sense of your books while your competitors sprint ahead. 93% of surveyed businesses increased visibility and control since switching to NetSuite. And right now, special financing is back. NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind financial program only for those ready to switch today. Head to netsuite.com/bluewire right now. Get special financing at netsuite.com/bluewire. One more time, netsuite.com/bluewire.
Also, thanks to our Blue Wire sponsors for your support as well. All right, a couple more things before we sign off. Juju Smith-Schuster looks like he might be out for the season with a shoulder injury. But we didn't really talk any Steelers yet. You mentioned them in passing that you had them at +1. They crushed the Broncos. I mean, they made it close at the end. Broncos were actually driving at the end, so that was kind of fun. But Steelers were the better team most of the game that game.
Yeah, I took the Steelers because I thought if it were lock, then it would be a lock for the Steelers. And then it ended up being Bridgewater, which meant it was kind of a fair line. So I kind of felt like 50% fair line, 50% lock. Okay, let's take it. And then it was Bridgewater, and the Steelers still kind of dominated. And you're right, the Broncos had a chance at the end, but it was sort of all one way. The Steelers defense is good. I think the Broncos are a little bit like the Raiders. They're okay, but they're not really a serious contender for anything. And I think, the Steelers, who are just an okay team also with a good defense, expose them a little bit. So I feel like the Broncos, Raiders, Bengals, sorry, Jeff, are just teams that got off to a little bit of quick starts. But in the end, you're going to have the Ravens, the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Bills. Those are the teams.
Those are the truly good teams. Those are the teams.
Those are the real teams, right? And one of them may make the playoffs. Maybe the Browns are good too. But like those five
are good. Yeah.
But those five are the good teams, and then the other, bunch of mediocrities are going to vie for the other two wild cards. And you never know. There's always like that surprise team that makes it through. But
like the Titans, they're going to win their division most likely.
The Colts might win the division. Actually,
it's possible, but the Titans already had that one head-to-head win over them. And they could sneak in. They got playoff Derrick Henry. They could win a playoff game, and next thing you know, like they're dangerous again. They got hot at the right time last year. They got hot at the right time a year ago.
Well, 2 years ago, they got hot at the right time. But their defense is bad, and it's hard to advance. With Derrick Henry, you can bludgeon teams and get through, but it's hard to go, round by round with a crap defense. I think like maybe the defense will coalesce and be a little better, but I don't see the Titans a serious contender. I think you need like Browns, Bills, Chargers, Ravens, and then maybe the Chiefs because their offense is so good. But I actually kind of think the Chiefs are like the fifth best team in the conference.
They might be. It's possible. And it's also possible they'll get things figured out too. I mean, it's a long enough season. Things can change.
Things change a lot. When we do those, like, oh, you pick 4 teams and I get the field. I would never do that in week 6. I would do that in week 12, and it's 50-50 in week 12. But in week 6, no way.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Okay. Any a couple other things before we sign out here. We kind of covered most of the afternoon slate. I will say, Arizona, their defense was really good. Their offense disappointed me. I mean, this game was like 10-0 late. I was just like, I expected so much more out of Murray. I mean, they had that one electric drive to Rondale Moore. They had Hopkins get his touchdown late, which was, it just saved some value, but it was really disappointing output from the Arizona offense.
Yeah, I don't think Arizona is a great real life team. I mean, they're 5-0, so okay, that's great. But
yeah,
I would take any of those teams in the AFC that I just mentioned on a neutral field against them, even money, and I would probably take the Bucs against them even money. I'd take the Rams, even though they blew out the Rams again, even money on a neutral field. I think the Cowboys would have a good case to be favored against them on a neutral field. Mm-hmm. I think Arizona's fine. I think they've got
Tampa Bay,
interesting
obviously.
players.
Yeah.
Tampa, I would definitely take on a neutral field. but I don't think they're anything special. So we'll see. Maybe Murray takes the next step as a real life QB, but I still see, a bunch of I see them as the 7th or 8th best team in the NFL.
There's something to be said. You win without your best. I mean, they were all geared up last week for the Rams, right? It was a big game. Now they're coming home. Okay, we got the struggling Niners. Now, granted, it's a division game, a lot of things there, but you can't be up every single week. It's just, especially, there's the ebbs and flows. So, I mean, they won without their best stuff. That's the way I kind of look at it there. Edmonds was banged up going into the game. He didn't do a whole lot. They still won. Or maybe the Niners defense got better. That's also possible too. So we'll see.
The Niners had a shot. They couldn't close it. But, I'd be very surprised if Arizona in week 13 was still one of the favorites to win the conference.
Yeah. We didn't talk any Tennessee, Jacksonville.
There's no need. Let that go.
AJ Brown didn't look great.
Jets. Yeah, he doesn't look like himself. And the Jets. Why did I bet on the Jets? That was stupid. I instinctively knew that was wrong to take the points. They were there, at the end they kicked the field goal because Zach Wilson got sacked, in the third and whatever, and they had to kick a field goal to make it a 7-point game and not cover. But Zach Wilson does not pass the eye test to me. I understand that the circumstances are not ideal, but I think they got good value for those 3 picks for Darnold. They cut bait when they needed to, but I think Zach Wilson doesn't pass the test. I think, Lawrence against the Bengals, he looked good last week. This week he didn't. Yeah. And I think Lance has some upside. I think Fields and Mac Jones is okay at portions of that game. But this sort of vaunted QB class is it's pretty disappointing.
Yeah. I like how the NFL is subtly saying to the London crowd, we don't really like you, but we're going to send you these crap games. We're going to give you Atlanta versus the Jets. We're going to have a really horrible roughing the passing call in the very first drive, just to illustrate how awful the NFL can be sometimes. I was playing football. It wasn't anything wrong with that play. I'm so astounded sometimes in some of these roughing the passing calls. That was a hideous call early on in that first drive. Next week it's Jacksonville and Miami. Really? London? I mean, give them a real game.
They should have some kind of PCR test that you got to test negative for being a member of the Jets to get into the country. You have to test negative for being a Jet or a Jaguar, and otherwise they don't let you in the country. And that would solve the problem, because I feel like, when you have an immigration policy and you're just letting the Jets or the Jaguars in, it's not a serious immigration policy. So I feel like they need to get with the legislation and figure out how to prevent certain teams from despoiling the pitch, so to speak.
Yeah. Saints were clearly the better team against Washington.
Jeff, I made the Saints my best bet, just so you know. What's my record on best bets this year?
I don't know or care.
Why do you not study this? Why are you're one of the main voices on RotoWire, and yet you don't know my record on best bets? How is that possible?
It's amazing. It's truly amazing that my priorities are elsewhere.
It's amazing.
What is it, Chris?
5-0, Jeff.
Good for you.
So it's 1-32 by dumb luck. Okay. And we're going to keep this going. We get to 17. 2 to the 17th is what? 1 in 120 something thousand, 130,000. Then you won't be able to say it's dumb luck anymore, Jeff. And you will be paying attention. I guarantee.
I won't be saying it because I still don't care unless you're actually betting it.
If I'm 17-0
and you're pushing it forward, playing it forward so that you're actually getting the benefit of it there.
$1 for the first one, and we go up, and then that's it. The books wouldn't take my bet anymore at that rate. But 2 to the 17th, Jeff. Do the math. Get a calculator.
I'll just wait for your 5-minute explanation on Sirius XM about the math. So
absolutely, it's a big winner. We're talking about every new audience every 12 seconds. That's a real that really puts that to the test.
Yes, it does. Okay, that's gonna be it for today's podcast. I want to thank WynnBET for their exclusive partnership all season long. I want to thank the Lisbon establishment that served Liz 2 bottles of wine.
It's Heather's 50th birthday. So I got 3 bottles of wine. Her friend flew in from London. It was a big extravaganza. Unfortunately, combined, they drank 1. I drank 2. So that's how it went, So what are you going to do? You got to do your duty as a husband and a gentleman. And sometimes that entails drinking 2 bottles of wine. And You don't say, oh, I can't do it. I got a podcast coming up. I got a radio show coming up. You don't do that. You don't make excuses in your life, Jeff.
Yeah, I hear you. Last question. Should I trade Diggs for Chase? No, because Burrow is getting his throat contusion checked out, and
yes,
the better offense anyhow. So I would not do that trade. I would keep Diggs. No. Anyways, thank you, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for commenting. Appreciate y'all. We'll be back at you again tomorrow with Joe and Jake talking free agents. Listen, I'll be back at you again next Monday, and you can catch us in Sirius XM in a couple minutes. Take care.
When you think of the last 20 years of the Browns, what's the saddest memory that first comes to mind?
The year we didn't win a game. Josh Gordon, to be honest.
Being a punching bag for the Steelers.
The past 20 years.
I'm Andre Knott, and on my new podcast, Brownstown, we dive deep into 20 years of Cleveland Browns heartbreak. We talk to players, coaches, and journalists that saw it all firsthand. If you're a lifelong fan or just hopping on the bandwagon, this podcast is for you. Listen to Brownstown wherever you listen to podcasts.